It's time to do the show. Hey guys, what's going on? Tom Dunn here with my friend Vicky Joy, and we are going to be taking you on through till midnight, unless you live in another time zone. But hey, all my East Coast friends, yeah. Well, hey, we did go through to midnight last night. If you missed the conversation with Chris Taylor, yeah, you might want to go back and check that out. We had a real good time. Just talking about comic books and what their origins were. So real interesting, Vic. You guys, if you missed it, go back and check it out. Chris Taylor is just like his analysis and all that stuff is amazing. Excuse me. Vic, you doing all right over there?
I'm doing great. And I'm sorry I missed the conversation yesterday. I kind of bailed on you. I just hit a wall. I absolutely hit a wall yesterday. I think my brain was like, I'm absolutely done. I'm not going to work for you anymore today. But I'm doing great today.
Hey, yeah, well, welcome back to the show. And anyway, of course, we've been letting people know that we're coming up to the end of this season. What a trip. Now, Vic, let me ask you something. Think back in your mind. Remember when I said we're going to go 6 weeks this season, and then next season we're going to go 8 weeks? How did you feel? Be honest. What were your feelings towards me at that moment?
Okay, this is hysterical, and I don't know if I've told this story before or not, but you announced that in person at Go Therefore, and I was sort of playing in my mind like, when I see Tom in person, I'm going to tell him at Go Therefore, I got to get back on my circadian rhythm. I'm staying up way too late. Can we do a show earlier? Like, can we do a pre-record? So I get there, and then I'm like opening my mouth for this meeting, and you're like, we're going to kick it up to 6 shows a week. And I was like, abort. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, and at that time, like, the book had like just launched. Remember my book?
Right.
The very first time I saw my own book was at that conference. So I was at the like starting line of this like 6 months of promotion. And I must have been giving you a look, because you're like, now, you started kind of like easing me out of it.
Poor Vicky's just like doggy paddling, treading water. Like,
I had some anxiety there, but in all truth though, I was so excited about what your concept was, and what we were going to do and the ministry. And I was so excited about getting back on YouTube, because the thing with Rumble is there wasn't much of a chat, and I really missed the interaction. So even though I had some self-doubt about my own energy levels, and it's weird because the 6-week season was actually harder for me than the 8-week season. So I think maybe I had to just like psychologically get over that wall.
yeah,
I don't know.
I think this one's been a little bit smoother, maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not gonna, folks, the next one's gonna be 5 weeks, okay?
Whew.
I'm just putting that out there right now. So that's gonna be a breeze compared to 6 weeks and 8 weeks, right? So hey, just a heads up, looking forward. Starting in January, we're going to start the first Monday in January. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to go 5 weeks. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back for 5 weeks. And then it's going to go pretty close up to the time of the conference. It's going to be time for Out of the Darkness conference. And then after that, we're not making any promises. We haven't even thought that far ahead yet. So yeah, we're gonna do something, but we don't know what. But we'll let you know when we get closer. The focus right now is going towards the conference and getting as many people there as we possibly can, and seeing people, ministering to people, praying with people, training people is what we want to do. Sherry Clausen is going to be there. Okay, she has worked very closely with Russ for years. This is a great friend who has just been there to help me out when I call her up, either for advice or just to kind of compare notes, or saying, hey, can you come down and we do this freedom encounter. So anyway, she's going to be there. She's a great trainer, teacher, and also Colleen James, author of the book, The Lie Effect. Okay, Vicky Joy, I heard you're going to be there, and we're going to have Greg Reed there, Pastor Mike Spalding, Coach Dave Daubenmeyer. So it's going to be a good time. What we decided to do is get some food trucks and bring them out to the church because we're kind of way out in the country. So that's the plan for food. The schedule's real tight. I started working on it 2 weeks ago, and then I was just like, oh, dude, this is too hard right now. So I'm just going to ignore it and hope it goes away. So, but we've got plenty of time to get the schedule figured out. Anyway, folks, you can go to throughtheblack.com, get your tickets for the conference there. It's going to be a fun old time. We're going to have a ball down there in Brookville, Ohio. So, yeah, check it out. Also, you can reserve your room. I just talked to a guy yesterday who said he reserved his room down there, and he's bringing his brother, and they got an amazing testimony. Just about deliverance and just how good God has been to them. So anyway, Vic, we got a few things to talk about tonight. So the show, we call this spiritual warfare and stuff, and this kind of falls under spiritual warfare, and it kind of falls under stuff. I want to kind of talk about a couple of news stories real quick. So have you heard about this guy? His name is slipping my mind. And I don't know if Katie will have the name when we bring up the picture, but I want to show you the picture first. Maybe this will ring a bell. Vic, when I first saw this guy, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a joke. I thought this was Matt Damon with a shaved head in a dress. I honestly did. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh my gosh, that does look like Matt Damon.
Yeah. So what's the guy's name? If anybody can put it up in the chat. Brian, is it? No. I'm thinking. I'm getting all my news stories mixed up. But this guy was in charge of nuclear cleanup. Keep his picture up there for a while, Vic. So obviously, we got to be a little careful here. And this guy could really use our prayer. He's just, I think it was today he lost his job. He got fired. So it's just kind of interesting that he got caught not once, but twice stealing baggage from an airport. Sam Brenton, thank you. So, yeah, this is the guy. I don't know if you would want him to be in charge of something super important. I'm concerned about his well-being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, what's going on here. And I feel like I'm justified in saying that just because now we have, again, not one, but two accounts. The first time he denied it, he's like, no, I did that by accident, something along those lines. And then he got caught again. I don't know if there's a warrant out for him or what. So there's some kind of a fetish here. So something's went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere along the line. What is your response? Did you know? Had you seen that picture before?
I hadn't seen that picture. I have seen other pictures of him, and I read the first initial story where he was caught at the airport stealing the luggage. It's sort of initially, though it's a little bit more bizarre, but it reminded me of many years ago when Winona Ryder was caught shoplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think, well, obviously someone in a high level government position or in an A-list celebrity position, which she was, more famous at the time, though she's had a reemergence with Stranger Things. But it's obviously not that these guys can't afford to go to Macy's and pick up a few garments, right? So you just kind of wonder what is playing into, is this attention seeking, or is this
Yeah.
what's behind this? Because it's not, I think, like, that they're broke and can't afford it.
Well, neither you or I are psychiatrists or
No.
psychologists, but we could take a layman shot at it, and just, you know what I'm saying, say that something's not right there. But we wouldn't even need to know about the stealing of the briefcases to make that, assumption.
Yeah.
But doesn't it make sense that, I mean, not surprised. He got caught. What I guess I'm more surprised at the people that don't get caught that do these things. Right?
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting to me because did you have any knowledge of this individual before he made headlines for this?
no, I did not. Well, I don't know. I saw the picture and I didn't know what the picture was. I saw him with maybe the president and maybe some other, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some other people. And I was just like, it just popped up and I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it seriously. I was like, that's just a Photoshop picture is what I thought. I thought it was a Photoshop picture of Matt Damon.
I can see why you thought that. It's interesting to me because it's almost like there are people in really high up political positions that nobody knows about, and it's almost like they want us to know who these people are. We did another show ages ago now where there was a guy who was appointed to some government health position, something very specific to, and he was a high level, well, I don't know if he was high level, but he was a member of the occult, and he was blatant about it, and he had the tattoos, and he had that affiliation, and so it seems
And
like
he had what some people call a couple other kinks too. So
yep. So it's almost like what's fascinating to me is because I oh no, it wasn't even COVID, it was monkeypox. They
yeah,
put
that's
him
right. He was the monkeypox dude.
Yeah, and then when they realized that wasn't going to take, and people were like, ridiculous, move on. Then, so he, I don't think, is in his position anymore either. So it's strange that we get introduced to these characters and then they're immediately let go for one reason or another. And it's just kind of like, it's starting to feel like the clown car to me, where like, how many of these things are going to come out of the little car? I don't know.
Vic, if you would have wrote a script 10 years ago and you took it to Hollywood and they said, okay, I got an idea for a movie. It's about the White House. It's about a future administration. They would have laughed you out of Hollywood. They're like, no way, nobody will believe this. You know what I'm saying? This is not realistic. This is,
yeah, it would have been
some like crazy comedy, just offbeat,
Yeah, I mean, it would have been like when I was in high school a million years ago. It would have been on The Simpsons, like everybody in the White House was like dressed in drag, and you'd be like, "Yeah, right, that's funny." But here we are.
I don't know if this is right, but a lot of times, like when talking about party lines here, when Democrats get caught with this stuff, there's not a lot of remorse. It's more of an endorsement of these things. And I'm not, making excuses or saying it's okay either way. But when somebody who's on the right kind of gets caught with this stuff, and it happens just as much, right? There's remorse, there's repentance, there's shame there, but not so much on the left. So have you noticed that? Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And so unfortunately then when I try to get my mind around it, I almost have to go conspiratorial. Like I think, well, like, okay, is this some shaming ritual because he's moving up the ranks in politics or something? Because like it's legitimately so bizarre that it's hard to get your I because in a typical situation like this didn't have to make national news. I mean, if
Mhm.
it in the long run, if we never found out that some obscure guy stole a couple briefcases, our lives would not be altered dramatically one way or the other. So the fact that this had to make national headlines leads me to believe for some reason there's some aspect of this story that had to enter the collective conscious, and why.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, the story was that when they tracked him down, he said that the clothing that was in the briefcase or in the suitcase was missing. Like apparently he took this woman's clothing and lied about it. So this is, I mean, there's all kinds of red flags going up here, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These are the kind of things that you see maybe. Do you ever see Silence of the Lambs?
One time when it like first came out, so it's
Well,
vague in my
yeah,
mind.
if you remember the serial killer in that movie,
Yeah.
um, what was his name? Bill, Buffalo Bill was his nickname.
Hannibal Lecter.
Well, yeah, there was Hannibal Lecter, but the guy they're trying to catch was a cross-dressing serial killer.
Yes.
And he was so out of his mind that he was making I think he was making a suit out of a woman or something like that.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
Right.
how
Right.
depraved he was he wanted to, to be inside of a woman suit.
Yes.
So isn't it interesting that movie got it right,
Hmm.
okay, about
Hmm.
this subject that I can't say too much more about,
Yeah.
for risk of getting canceled here, and I don't want that to happen. So guys, I don't like not being able to say what I want to say. So another goal that I want to have our own platform someday, some way, somehow. But anyway, we're here now, and we gotta play by the rules. We thank all of you guys for coming out, for sharing the videos, for liking the videos, and for subscribing to the channel. We're still moving on up, and yeah, good stuff. Another thing in the news, of course, is this abortion pastor down in Georgia, Warnock. Is that his name? Yeah,
Yep.
Warnock. Okay. I don't know how in the Bible Belt this guy right here beat out Herschel Walker Jr. All right. But he did. And this guy goes around basically promoting abortion and saying he's a Christian, he's a pastor,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's pretty sick. But obviously, we're a little bit suspicious. Was there any foul play here? As far as elections, we've seen plenty of that already. In the past, very possible, but. I don't know if anybody knows about this guy, and maybe if you don't live in Georgia, you're not familiar with him, but he is, yeah, he's the abortion pastor down there. I don't even know the name of the church, but not only that, but his congregation obviously is a very pro murder. I don't like saying abortion, pro murder, pro death, pro child killing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Church, and I'm sure we'll get a little tag on the bottom of our video now because we said the forbidden word abortion. But anyway,
Hmm. Oh
Vic,
boy.
did you know about Warnock?
I did not. I did not know until you had brought him up today. And again, it just gets all my little conspiratorial wheels spinning. And, it almost makes me wonder if there's some sort of like damage control agenda here because this, there's this stereotype that all of the conservatives who are pro life are all religious. And let's start like spreading that message that church people are cool, God's cool, Jesus is cool, Jesus is, um, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. I can't make sense of it anymore, Tom. It's just, I don't understand the absolute incompatibility of wanting to even associate yourself with the name of a spiritual leader who you don't even agree with half of what he taught. Like, why even take Christ's name into your label or your identity if you clearly align more with Babylon than you do with it? Makes no sense to me. My mind is, I think smoke's coming out of my head right now.
Yeah. So I was listening to Christian radio today when I was running some errands, and there's a local station I like. It's actually national, called American Family Radio. I really like a lot of the programs they have on this channel, and they talk about politics quite a bit on this channel and from a Christian worldview. But they said something today that I thought was interesting. It said before 1974 time, the attitude in the general public towards Christianity was positive. Okay. After 1974, and it probably might have had something to do with Roe v. Wade, okay, in 1973. From then to about however many years ago, when was the legalization of or the Supreme Court passing of the pro same-sex marriage? Probably about 5 or 7 years ago, something like that.
Pretty fairly recent.
Yeah.
Still.
So from 74 until then, it was neutral. Okay. The attitude towards Christianity. Since then, it's been aggressively negative. Okay. And of course you can find, but they're just talking about in general on average. Okay. But obviously, since we see these markers that show us the attitude of the people, and the law leads the people. You know what I'm saying? So even though in 73 it wasn't legal to kill human beings, murder was still illegal, but they made a Supreme Court decision that said that we're going to look the other way, basically. So interesting stuff, interesting times that we live in. Yeah. Speaking of interesting times that we live in, you and I have been talking about a interesting story, an interesting topic in the way of artificial birth, artificial pregnancy. It's real weird, Vic, and we're going to watch the video here in a minute and talk about this. So, and then there's a story that I want to read afterwards. But we were kind of searching for something to talk about tonight. And the way our schedules happened over the weekend, you and I weren't able just to find a time to sit down and brainstorm. And usually one of us comes up with something like, okay, we got this, we got a guest. But we kind of came up with this at the last minute today. People will notice there were question marks because we have to turn in the slides to Katie, and I had nothing. And I still had nothing. And I said, well, I'll come up with it tonight or tomorrow. And finally, this afternoon, we came up with something. But my daughter actually sent me this video. So for those of you who don't know, my daughter works for Created Equal, which is a pro-life missionary organization that goes around training people. And I wonder, probably sent to her internally, from the office. But it's interesting taking a look at this video, knowing what we know about abortion, about the what's happening in this country since the fall of Roe a few months ago. By the way, babies are still being killed. Okay, for anybody that's not aware. So anyway, I want to jump into it. Let's take a look at this video. We're gonna watch this and stop it and talk about it. So I think this is real fascinating. This is ecto life is what they're calling this, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit. So let's go ahead and start this and talk about it.
Introducing Ectolife, the world's first artificial womb facility, powered entirely by renewable energy. Ectolife allows infertile couple to conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring. It's a perfect solution for women who had their uterus surgically removed due to cancer or other complications. With Ectolife, premature births and C-sections will be a thing of the past. Ectolife is designed to help countries that are suffering from severe population decline, including Japan, Bulgaria, South Korea, and many others.
Okay, let's pause it right there. So, Vic, you go first. What's your response to some of the things they're talking about right there?
Okay, they are promoting this within the framework of a very conservative yesteryear sort of an idea. Husbands and wives who are married and just are infertile, but the fact of the matter is, women who have had their uteruses removed due to cancer or other complications. Let's talk about those other complications. Chances are what this is really going to be primarily used for are people who perhaps biologically can't have a baby. This is perhaps going to be for people who all of a sudden in the last few years are sterile for some odd reason that no one can really figure out, but we all know. And so who are they really marketing this? Who are they really marketing this to? Is this really going to be for happy husbands and wives who are married and just can't have a baby? Or is there a larger population of people that are going to be probably more wooed towards this sort of a thing?
So I want to let everybody off the hook right now, okay? And just let everybody know, this is not a real actual thing. This is a concept that this man came up with, okay? But you can watch this and realize that they are talking about this. They are looking at how to do this, okay? And this very well could be a real thing in any amount of time. It could happen in 5 years. It could happen in 10 or 20. If it happened in 30 years, that would be super quick. But let's be honest, watching this, don't you think it's going to happen before then? So should the Lord tarry and whatever happens, as far as just eschatology, will the Lord allow this to happen? You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more in this video. The thing that I see when I watch this is control. They want to control when babies are born. Okay. They want to. You're not allowed to have a baby. Okay. You're not allowed to be fertile. You're not allowed to have that baby. And there are campaigns saying don't have kids, and there's movements to have women and men sterilized, right? Before they turn 18. So, and then of course we know just the fight to kill babies in the womb. What is this? I mean, we're going to talk more about it. Let's watch a little bit more of this video and we're going to come back and talk some more.
The facility features 75 highly equipped labs. Each state-of-the-art lab can accommodate up to 400 growth pods or artificial wombs. Every pod is designed to replicate the exact conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus. A single building can incubate up to 30,000 lab-grown babies per year. Ectolife allows your baby to develop in an infection-free environment. The pods are made of materials that prevent germs from sticking to their surfaces. Every growth pod features sensors that can monitor your baby's vital signs, including heartbeat, temperature, blood pressure, breathing rate, and oxygen saturation.
Okay, let's pause it right there. I watched this a couple hours ago and I was creeped out. This is
Same.
creepy. This is like a nightmare.
Same. Yeah. I'm thinking of so many horrible possibilities here, Tom. Like I'm thinking of, first of all, they're playing God. Second of all, there is a whole entire nurturing and bonding process that goes on between a mother and a child when it's in the womb. And we talked once a while back about that Steven Spielberg movie AI with Haley Joel Osment. I mean, this is in essence now a baby just being handed to a mother. And so usually a woman's got 9 months of where she's thinking at every moment this thing's growing inside of her, and so she's missing out on all of that. And I'm also just thinking, okay, again, you can put this in the framework of we're going to make this technology for your benefit and all the poor women who have had cancer and who are infertile and whatnot. But for all we know, they'll have this technology out there, but never make it available to the public, because we already know that babies are being used, stem cell research, stem cells are being put into like flavonoids and natural flavors. And so who's to say that they would even be offering this service to the deplorables? You know,
So,
what if it's their own purposes?
Exactly. And something else I just thought of was Star Wars, the clones, right? The development of clones. And if you watch that, I think that second movie, The Clone Wars or whatever it was, you can see all of these clones and all of their different stages of development, right? So I'm also thinking of the movie The Island with Ewan McGregor, who happened to play Obi-Wan, where I don't know if have you ever seen this movie, The Island? No? Okay. So basically they're at the beginning of the movie, and spoiler alert if you don't want to know, if you haven't seen it by now, then it's okay. They're in this facility and people keep winning this lottery, and they're trying to figure out how to win the lottery, because when you win the lottery, you get out of this facility. Everybody's like trapped in this hotel like thing, right? And they're like, man, I want to get out of here. Well, what they don't know is they're all clones, and all of the their clone, okay, or their host person or whatever in the real world is like a elite celebrity that paid to have them cloned. That way, if they ever need, okay, an organ or something, they can go and get it from their clone. Well, that's when they win the lottery. Okay. So yeah.
Wow.
And they're breaking out of this facility in the movie, and he finds out that he's actually a clone of a celebrity, and they've got him there. They don't know. Yeah, they don't know that they're, they were born and raised in this place, and they think it's kind of like the Truman Show. Like they have no idea what their real purpose is. So obviously, let's be honest, folks. Somewhere, in some dark lab, they're cloning. They're cloning humans. They're doing hybrids. We know this, okay? We know that some psycho out there is doing this stuff. And we're going to see here in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. The Matrix. And we, of course, talked about this last night. So we got into a little bit of a Matrix dialogue. Kind of interesting. Will God allow him to do it? I don't know. If he does, what will be the consequences? These people are going to have a status above humans, okay? And their value is going to be much more than ours, right? They're going to be superhumans. And yeah, if you accidentally kill one of them, just like in a car accident or something like that, or if anything happens to them, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Let's watch some more of this video.
Okay.
The Ecto Life. Here we go.
The artificial intelligence-based system also monitors the physical features of your baby and reports any potential genetic abnormalities. The pods are equipped with a screen that displays real-time data on the developmental progress of your baby. These data are sent directly to your phone so you can track your baby's health from the comfort of your zone. The app also provides you with a high-resolution live view of your baby's development. A special section in the app allows you to watch a time-lapse of your baby's growth and share it directly with your loved ones.
Okay, pause it right here. There's a lot being said right there. Okay, you can monitor abnormalities of your baby to see if there's any defects. What happens if there is?
That's exactly what I was thinking. And I mean, so are we moving towards then this world, where anything imperfect isn't given the you don't live? I mean, we're getting into Twilight Zone now, where only the survival of the fittest. It's almost like they're trying to make the Darwinian mantra true, survival of the fittest. Now everything will be perfect, which I think personally would make an extremely boring planet.
Yeah, wouldn't it? So yeah, kind of interesting that they're completely removing pregnancy. Now, at the beginning, they sold this, okay, as somebody that's not able to conceive, somebody that had their uterus removed, for whatever reason, okay. This is what they do. They play on those sympathies, right?
Yep.
It's going to be for this reason. They do it. That's how they try to justify abortion. They're like,
right.
But what about rape?
Yep.
But what about rape?
Yep.
So
exactly. Yeah. They always put it in the framework. Even like we've talked about this before, a lot of the legislation that we're seeing today in the public schools that we're all mortified over originated in an anti-bullying law. I mean, who's going to say, no, I don't want an anti-bullying law to pass? And so they always frame it in this perfect case scenario of someone that you would have empathy on, but it's never really ultimately why they want it out there. That's always this law of unintended consequences, that once the technology is out there, it's usually not the rape victim or the cancer survivor that's getting the benefit of the technology.
Vic, let's be honest. They're probably doing this somewhere.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what this whole thing is a concept cartoon video. I mean, hopefully nobody ever does anything like this, but you would assume that the wombs would be dark because babies are in complete darkness when they're in the womb, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming they thought of everything, and who knows, what's going on out there again in some dark lab, some underground place. I mean, look at all the things the Nazis were doing, with genetics and experimentation.
Yeah.
Vic, and again, if there was some kind of problem with the baby, what do? Do they kill it? They throw it in the trash?
Right.
How do they kill it? How do they starve it? And there was one point that I wanted to spot in the film I wanted to point out was they keep saying that they keep using the word baby, okay? They keep using the word baby, and they said it at one point when they were showing the zygote and the very, underdeveloped baby, very small, and they're calling it a baby. So this is a baby, but you will never get anybody from an abortion clinic to say that that's a baby. Okay. I take that back. That's one of their arguments. They're saying it's not a baby. It's not a life. That's not what it looks like. It's the most insane argument, because they take the victims' photographs out there with them, And they're like, that's not what it looks like. Well, what the heck do you think a dead baby looks like?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They're acknowledging that these are babies,
Yeah.
but and I don't know what what the status of this guy who made this video is. Okay. But I'm going to assume that he is pro-choice and he's very pro-abortion because they usually are. So, which makes this even sicker. Okay.
Right. Well, and we have no idea, but we know enough. The occult certainly has many, many womb rituals. And I would never trust some government agency, government funded agency to grow my baby for me. I mean, I don't know if they're introducing something else into that DNA or into that bloodstream. I mean, I'm not even convinced that this thing would be defined as human as we would define it once it was all said and done.
Well, and let's just keep watching and we're going to see some of that stuff. But I feel like we need to stop it a little bit more because there's too much. This stuff is loaded. There's a lot of stuff in here. So let's watch a little bit more.
Okay.
Because babies can recognize language and learn new words while still in the womb, Ectolife growth pods feature internal speakers that play a wide range of words and music to your baby. Through the app, you can choose the playlist that your baby listens to. You can also directly sing to your baby and make them familiar with your voice before birth. Our goal is to provide you with an intelligent offspring that truly reflects your smart choices.
So, okay, stop it right there. Again, removing the whole pregnancy experience. Okay. Hey, now they're trying to sell it for people that can't get pregnant. But Vic, we know where this is going. Mm-hmm. We know where this is going. Okay.
Yeah.
It's obvious that they put that stuff up at the front, but they're like, man, you don't have to worry about any of these things. And they talk about this, any of the pressure of having a baby inside your belly. Okay. And all of the complications and the contractions, the painful contractions of pregnancy, they talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, and this is also going to make it increasingly more easy for them to say that there's no difference between the sexes because now a woman isn't even differentiated by her ability to give birth. And so it is making the definition of biblical femininity even more narrow, if not non-existent, because one of the main features of our bringing life into the world is no longer our privilege. Now the government's going to take care of it for us.
Yeah. And we're the question, would these babies have a soul? Well, good question. If they have a human mother and a human father, I would say yes.
I'll bet they got a spirit.
Yeah. So, but Vic, what would they be like without that bonding that you have inside of the womb? I would say they probably made some horror movies like this.
Right. Well, and I'm even wondering what would happen to the maternal instinct in the mother, because there's things that are happening as the baby's developing, and I'm by no means an expert on these topics, but there's certain fluids and dopamine and there's things going on that are like creating unconditional love for this child. It's a nurturing. And so if you just hand a baby to a woman, I mean, I know there's a lot of women out there who dearly want to be moms and love children, and they would love any child you gave them, but is that maternal instinct going to be as strong 2-3 generations into something like this, where now all the women who have ever naturally given birth no longer live on the planet? They're all dead. And this is just the new wave of how it's done.
Vic, I think one of the first books I read last year was called Them Before Us. and it was about the importance of a child being raised by their natural mother and their natural father. And when you deviate from that, whether it's through divorce, whether it's through in vitro fertilization, whether it's through, any
Yeah.
number of things, even through adoption. And some of these things are very noble things, right? I mean, we have people adopting children that are unwanted or abandoned or whatever, but the perfect situation for them is to be raised by their natural mother and their natural father. And this book goes to show all of this data, okay, that happens. All these the data and the bad things that happen to these kids when those things are not in place, and how much of a better chance that the children that do have natural mother and father in their home, that they have. So anyway.
Right. Well, and speaking of books, we were talking about this offline earlier. This is the future that Aldous Huxley imagined in Brave New World.
Yes.
There was reproduction, so to speak, but it was not procreation. It was not marital bliss or, union with one another. It was a scientific reproduction for the sake of carrying on mankind, but it was not procreation.
Right. And if I remember right, the futuristic movie Demolition Man talked about that as well. So where that in that utopian future, they no longer conceive babies the natural way. Anyway, let's get back into this. I'm just thinking of all these science fiction, points that that are out there. Yeah, let's check this out.
Ectolife improves your bonding experience with your baby. Thanks to a 360 degrees camera that's fitted inside your baby's growth pod, you can use your virtual reality headset to explore what it's like to be in your baby's place. See what they see and hear what they hear. Using a wireless haptic suit connected to your baby's growth pod, you will be able to sense their kicks in the womb and share this experience with your friends and family members. With Ectolife, your baby will receive the best nutrients that can support their growth. Each group of pods is connected to 2 central bioreactors. The first bioreactor contains nutrients and oxygen, which are supplied to your baby through an artificial umbilical cord. This bioreactor also contains a liquid solution that serves as the amniotic fluid that surrounds babies in the mother's uterus. It's rich of vital hormones, growth factors, and antibodies that sustain your baby's growth and development. Thanks to a system controlled by artificial intelligence, each baby receives custom nutrients tailored to their needs.
Pause it right here. I wonder how they start these babies. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Is it the actual sperm and egg from the parents?
Well, again, keep in mind that what we're watching is not real.
Right.
But they've been, looking closely at this for, I think the guy said over 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is based on, actual research. So, no, that's a good question. And I think there's some hurdles that they're going to have to get over to make this happen. But I would not be surprised if they could do it using some kind of nanotechnology. I mean, I don't know.
Another scary thought is if a woman's not pregnant, she's not going to produce breast milk. So this baby's going to have to instantly go on some sort of simulated product as well. And I know we did a show in the past where you showed some videos of, I think, a nurse or a doctor talking about just the difference between breast milk on a baby and the formulas that you buy in the store over the counter. And you got to worry about all the genetically modified synthetic ingredients and all that stuff. And so, Tom, I can understand, like, if you're infertile, like I can understand, like, holy cow, technology coming up with the concept where you could not only still have a baby, but you could experience to a greater degree what it felt like to be pregnant. And like I have many friends that are infertile and they're now my age and they never had kids, and it's a heartbreaking thing. And so the reason I'm being so calloused is this is because I don't believe they're creating this technology to help brokenhearted women who are infertile. I think there's something far more sinister, but I just don't understand why.
And as sad as that is, we got to think about the kids, because you know, who are we talking about in this situation? That, you know, okay, there's an infertile woman and she's sad, so we need to inconvenience another life for her happiness. And I'm not, trying to make light of anybody's situation. It's, I know that there's a lot of heartache and, a lot of struggles. I'm just going back to, the testimony after testimony from children that were just in vitro fertilization, and they never had a dad. Okay.
Yeah.
And they grew up missing that parent. Yeah. And something was missing in their life, and there was a hole in their heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, another thing that's like spooky to me about this commercial is it's starting at a point where the baby looks fully developed. Like it looks like you could pick that thing up and put clothes on it and create. So what I want to know is what started that? Like, how'd you get to that?
Yeah.
Like, let's see the pod when it's empty. Like, let's see the part where you play God, and like what's in there initially.
There was a short scene that showed the very early stages of development at the beginning.
Okay.
So where
I have to review that.
What we would see, a baby, we would recognize that a baby growing in the womb like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that they showed that, but it was very brief. But I agree with you.
That's the part they don't want to tell us.
Yeah. That's they don't want to admit that that's a baby, because that messes up their whole abortion argument. So let's jump back into it and see what else we got.
The second bioreactor is designed to eliminate any waste products produced by the babies. The artificial umbilical cord helps the babies to release their waste products into the second bioreactor. With the help of a delicate layer of engineered enzymes, the second bioreactor can then recycle waste products and turn them back into useful nutrients. This way, the facility ensures a steady and sustainable supply of fresh nutrients to your baby. With Ectolife, miscarriage and low sperm count are a thing of the past. Prior to placing the fertilized embryo of your baby inside the growth pod, in vitro fertilization is used to create and select the most viable and genetically superior embryo, giving your baby a chance to develop without any biological hurdles.
So pause it there. That answers a few questions there.
Yeah. In a lab.
They're implanting it into the artificial womb. These things also looks like some of those suicide pods as well. It's what
oh my gosh. Yeah. I wonder what sort of class system would or wouldn't result from this. Like if we lived in a world where this was truly just infertile people, and all of a sudden we had 60 to 70% of the population was, women giving birth, and then like 30 to 40% were these lab grown babies. And I wonder if they would grow up with that as part of their identity, if there'd be I wonder if this would just be yet another like caste system in the world where people were, there was prejudices and hatred or superiority complexes. And I would imagine that the humans would find themselves superior, but then on the other hand, we worship technology so much that we might think that they were the superior ones. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wonder who'd get top billing.
My mind is just going in a million different ways.
I know.
Thinking about this and what it means. Vic, could you imagine an army of these children growing up that never bonded with their mother, and how checked out they might be? How lacking in empathy or compassion they would be? I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of maybe a movie I've seen where they've had some kind of weird kid like this,
Well,
and they can't figure out what went wrong. So
I wonder in the brain development if there would be some sort of childhood trauma like baked into these kids because they didn't have that nurturing and they didn't breastfeed and they didn't, have the whole package.
And how would it manifest? Because as we're going to go on to see, these are designer babies. Okay, so they could take that gene out. They could take that part out, maybe. So very fascinating. Let's watch some more. We'll continue the conversation.
And if you want your baby to stand out and have a brighter future, our Elite package offers you the opportunity to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. Thanks to CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing tool, you can edit any trait of your baby through a wide range of over 300 genes. By genetically engineering a set of genes, the Elite package allows you to customize your baby's eye color, hair color, skin tone, physical strength, height, and level of intelligence. It also allows you to fix any inherited genetic diseases that are part of your family history so that your baby and their offspring will live a healthy, comfortable life free of genetic diseases.
Okay, so pause it right there. Vic, you go.
Okay, so this reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode where at a certain age, every woman had to go in and have this surgery, and she would come out looking exactly like so at that point every woman had like the typical like blonde hair and like they all looked exactly alike, and there was one girl who was like bucking the system. She's like, no, I want to be myself, I don't want to look like everybody else. And she was screaming and fighting, and they brought her into surgery, and she came out and they handed her a mirror, and she was like, oh, and she was buying into the program then, and when she realized how beautiful she was or whatever. And remember seeing that as a kid and being like, oh my gosh.
What about here's a movie, The Village of the Damned, or The Children of the Damned.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was something that happened in that movie. Man, it's been years since I've seen it, and it was like Christopher Reeve's last movie. But something happened where cosmically, and it caused all these women to get pregnant in this village in the same night. And everybody's like, well, we don't know what's going on. And then these kids start growing up, and it's not good. Like a whole village of Rosemary's Rosemary's graphene baby. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I did. But where I'm going with this, Tom, is we have this society, and we see this like on social media. All we have to do is have a celebrity get up wearing a certain shade of lipstick or a certain hair color or a certain hairstyle, and then all of a sudden millions of women got it. Like you're in the airport and every single woman's got the giraffe print purse all of a sudden, and then the next season it's something else. And I'm just afraid that given time, like I know that there's some cultural variations of beauty, but I think that there would just be kind of like 5 or 6 like prototypes, and everybody, of course, is going to want their American child to have the long blonde hair and the blue eyes and like the nice little Aryan thing, right? And at some point, I think most of us would all start to just look alike because everyone would adopt that same universal stereotypical beauty. Like that's what they would order.
Vic, and for anybody, just in case like somebody just tuned in, we're watching this video, okay? And this is not a real thing. It's based on real ideas, okay? But this is not, as far as we know, actually happening. Nobody's planning, at building one of these factories. They haven't broken the ground. They're not, raising the barn. But, they talked about the elite packages. Well, what's the budget package? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's
Like,
true too.
do you get like
Oh,
what do you get with a budget intelligence? You're like, man, I can't afford, super
yeah.
intelligence.
So you'd
So,
still have a caste system, because if you
yeah.
couldn't afford it, you'd still get the dumb kid.
Like, sorry, son, we didn't have enough money to make you smarter. Um,
Oh
like,
no.
how does that work? What's a kid like? What's either one of those kids like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh
like the
man.
super smart kid, does he got to study? And the one that's you couldn't afford the elite package, does he got to study harder, or does it just
That's right.
there's no
You
chance for him, right?
you got the diamond package,
Yeah,
and then you got the, like, it goes all the way down, like
right.
gold, silver. Oh
Um,
man.
dude.
Freaky man.
So,
Well, and
have
then
you ever seen this movie? I love this movie. It's called How's Your News? Have you ever heard of
no.
this movie?
No,
Yeah, okay. So, it's a movie. These two filmmakers made a movie where they took all of these handicapped people, these mentally handicapped people, okay, around the country in an RV, and they um they made their own news show, and it was awesome. It was so cool.
that's so
And
cool.
everybody was freaked out. It freaked people out because they were going around like, shoving microphones in people's faces and asking them questions.
Oh
And
man.
it was really a beautiful movie. I love that movie.
Well, I think we should try it. We probably get more solid information than we're getting nowadays.
Yeah, right. So
Wow.
anyway,
That's obscure. Wow,
um,
that's a deep cut there, Tom.
yeah. I saw that. I had a roommate that loved that movie, and he used to watch it over and over. And it was just the reaction of the people, that were coming out of the supermarket, and they're like, they didn't know what to do, and they were trying so hard to understand the people, or to interact with them. And yeah, it was good. And I don't know, it was a lot of fun.
Oh
But
man, that's awesome.
and it's not people that are handicapped, I feel like they have a sense of humor. Anybody that's cruel and a bully, we reject that. You know what I'm saying? But I think they have a sense of humor, and they don't want to be treated with safe gloves, or special gloves. Nobody's endorsing any kind of cruel treatment or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
anyway, and that's what this movie kind of does. Rabbit Trail, come back. Let's watch this. Let's watch some more of this video here. It's pretty
All
long.
right.
Say goodbye to the pain of childbirth and birth-related muscle contractions. Ectolife provides you a safe, pain-free alternative that helps
Okay,
you
pause it right there.
without stress.
Oh, I get it now.
So Vic, I thought this was for people that couldn't have children.
Right. I know.
That didn't have a uterus. They flipped the script on that pretty quick.
I just had an aha moment. The curse is pain in childbirth. They're trying to reverse the curses, which is Jesus's job. Jesus comes back and sets up his kingdom. He reverses the curses. I mean, obviously they're playing God here, but yeah, they're trying to do away with the curse.
Yeah.
Exactly, James.
Well, and speaking of the curse, look at how we've seen people try to beat the curse in the last couple years, and we can't even get people to work, at a fast food joint to get us a cheeseburger. So,
Yep. And we don't, hey, pretty soon we're not even going to need to get our food from the ground, so we don't have to worry about all those thorns and thistles either.
Right. Well, they'll just, McDonald's will make their own baby making farm, and
we'll get our Bill Gates
whole crew,
our Bill Gates bug burgers.
Make us a egg McMuffin. Okay, let's watch some more. Here we go.
The delivery process is smooth, convenient, and can be done with just a push of a button.
Just ejects it out, pops out in your hand.
After discharging the amniotic fluid from the artificial womb, you will be able to easily remove your baby from the growth pod. Everything is perfectly designed so you and your partner can enjoy the delivery process. To ensure full transparency, our post-delivery free DNA paternity test helps you confirm the genetic identity of your baby so you can return home knowing that your baby is genetically yours. You don't have to worry about power cuts or carbon footprint. Ectolife uses highly efficient, clean, renewable energy consisting of solar and wind power. The highly advanced pods operate with minimal energy needs, making it easy for your baby to make it to full term without any complications. And for those who want a more convenient solution,
Here we
Ectolife
go,
is
the
made
home edition.
accessible so your life can be easier. Thanks to our miniaturized bioreactors and long-lasting batteries,
Baby
you
looks
can use
5 years
Ectolife
old.
growth pods at the comfort of your home, allowing you to incubate your baby in your building without the need to visit our factory. By owning your special growth pod, you will have the ability to build a happy family, one baby at a time, away from any birth complications.
So pause it right there. In an age where, and obviously I'm not trying to generalize here, folks, but where women don't cook, you want them to make a baby in a pod at home, like.
Can you imagine like getting a little too gregarious with
Yeah,
the
I
vacuum
know.
cleaner and knocking that thing over? Oh,
Somebody
man.
comes by and is like, it looks like it's overdone. You know, like you ever overcook a spaghetti?
Oh gosh. Or what if you have other kids, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, get away from the pod.
They knocked the pot over, right? I mean, how many times have kids knocked over the plant, right?
Right? I know. Oh my gosh. I got called Phyllis Spiller when I was a kid because I was constantly knocking things over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, dude, I can't even bake a cake. I couldn't imagine trying to, make sure you get the,
what do you do if
right.
what do you do if both people like work? Like, bye, kid. We'll see you when we get home. Hope the 100-pound Newfoundland doesn't knock you over while we're gone.
Yeah, hopefully Scooby-Doo doesn't.
Oh man. See, we have to digress into the ridiculous because so many of the possibilities of this are so frightening.
Somebody unplugs a baby pod to charge their iPad.
To charge the tablet. Maybe it comes with free like USB ports.
Yeah.
It actually powers your phone.
Oh, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Again, I want to remind people this is not real.
Mm-hmm.
But
what if the power goes out?
It's easy for us to imagine a world where it could be real. And I wouldn't want to meet one of these children, in a dark alley. How easy would it be? You want to talk about MK Ultra mind control?
Oh my gosh. What and what if you got a facility that big? I mean, like Christy at home just said, like, what if the power goes out? But seriously, like, what if the backup generator fails? Or what if somebody, what if the little poop pod springs a leak? Or you know what I mean? This 30,000 babies incubating in there. I don't know, man. There'd have to be times where things would go wrong, or
things always go wrong, Vic.
Yeah, I know.
There's always glitches. There's always bugs. There's always, some kind of malware.
Right, right.
They're not capable of doing anything and getting it off without a hitch. Let's finish this up because we haven't even talked about the frozen embryos yet.
All right. The concept of Ectolife facility was designed by biotechnologist and science communicator Hashim Al-Ghaili. It relies on groundbreaking research work that has been conducted by scientists and engineers since 1950s. Tired of waiting for a response from an adoption agency? Unable to find a suitable surrogate mother? Worried about pregnancy complications? Worry no more, because Ectolife got you covered. Ectolife, reinventing evolution.
There we go.
Oh,
And
oh
it was
my
important that we
gosh.
watch the whole thing. Reinventing evolution. So, in other words, evolution was true. And this is the next step in evolution. We're taking evolution into our own hands now.
If you put
Wow.
if you put a monkey in there and it turns into a baby, I'll believe it's recreating evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see you turn a monkey into a baby. That's what I want to see.
So, what this tells me is they want control. They want control. They want control of when you're born. They want control of when you die. March 17th in Canada, the MAID program goes into effect
Oh man.
for mentally ill people. And they're not just saying, hey, you can do it. They're encouraging people to do it. What is it going to be like? We need to send missionaries to Canada. So, gosh, what?
That is
I mean,
sad. We got to pray for people in Canada that God will.
I mean, we're going to need people up there blocking the hospitals or blocking these suicide houses to try and save these lives.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but there was a story that came out last week, I think, in New Zealand, where a family, and I can't give all the details to this because we'll get shut down. But there was a family in New Zealand that had 4-month-old twins. One was born with a heart problem and it needs a surgery. Well, there was a certain type of blood that they didn't want the baby to get for a transfusion that they believe was tainted.
Okay.
And they got a donor, okay, that didn't have tainted blood. But the government and the hospital said, no, you're going to use the blood that we say, even though that was totally okay and totally legal. Okay, they said, we're going to prove to you that this blood is okay and nothing will happen, okay? And basically they came in, kidnapped the baby, and are forcing the baby to have the surgery and have the blood transfusion. So it's all about we control. We're controlling you. We're telling you what to do. In the UK, they are doing forced adoptions. Look that up, okay? I was studying that a couple weeks ago, and it was so heavy on my heart I had to quit. I watched so many videos on forced adoptions, and one of the number one reasons they give over there is risk of future trauma. So they basically examine your life and they say, well, when you were 15, you did this or you did that. And this could, you could make a mistake in your future and it could cause this baby future trauma. Well, isn't it interesting that Elisa from the Hampstead case gave us a clue about where they get the babies at? She knew nothing about forced adoption, by the way. So we're going to talk about more on that later. But yeah, look up forced adoption, look up the Hampstead case, and I think I have a video out there somewhere. It might be on the Odyssey channel about I break that down. I showed the clips back to back of Elisa and forced adoption, news clips. So anyway, guys, yeah, they want to control everything. Vic, I don't even know what to say. It's insane.
It's scary. I just think one of the things I've been thinking about this whole time we've been talking is it is going to become absolutely crucial from this point forward that we as believers 100% receive our definition of our identity in the scriptures, like who we are in Christ. We're not of this world. We're aliens. We are created in his image. Because I think that as time rapidly progresses forward, it's going to become more and more confusing to even define what a human being is. And if we continue to let these ever-changing, you know, aberrations to, you know, be called human, we have really got to be solid in, you know, ultimately we're not destined for this planet, at least in this current iteration of it, right? And I don't know, I just, what I'm trying to say is very simple, but I think that at some point people are going to lose their sense of even who they are as we've had the planet to ourselves, so to speak, for this long. I mean, I don't think we have, but the other things have kept a low profile. As these things begin to emerge, and as the days of Noah come back, and all of a sudden we're competing in a caste system of maybe other humanoids, we better know who we are in Christ.
Vic, what kind of music do you think this generation of embryos, you know, in an artificial womb will create? Like, you want to talk about, you know, I mean, we've got some really good poetry and music out there from people that are just like searching for themselves, right? But what kind of, you know, music, or what kind of art would people like this make? I would almost guess they would be very low art. What do you think?
That's a really good that's a really good question, like what the creativity level is going to be, because like someone said earlier, will the development in some sort of false incubator create a soul? Will this simulated conception create a soul? And we don't even know if they're going to be introducing anything foreign into the DNA, and what sort of spirit might be attached to these children. So if they are in any way emulating the image of something other than God, they're going to emulate that. They're going to have that imprint on them. That's what they're going to emulate. That's what their music and their poetry and their definition of beauty is going to come out of.
Well, yeah, I don't see any Christians running these labs or working at them. So can you imagine the potential for ritual
Yes.
over these pods,
Yes.
over these artificial wombs?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
the one scene where it said you can sing to your baby, you can talk, you can interact, so that when it's born, it recognizes your voice. What if you're not on your little walkie-talkie 24/7? What if you got a job and you're busy all day and you're just going to pick this thing up at the lab in 9 months, you know? Who else has one of those walkie-talkies? Who else is singing that thing to sleep every night? What are they saying to it? What sort of premonitions or worldviews are they embedding into that non-conscious mind that young? Gross. It's so scary.
You know, the process for which we have for creating life, you know, designed by God, is so amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I just can't imagine somebody thinking they could do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. In some sort of pod.
Yeah, but man,
Instead of a womb.
in his own satanic way, is going to try.
Yep.
Like, what? This is the same, you know, this is the same type of people, this atheistic scientist, you know, just raising their fist at God, who they don't believe in.
Right.
What did they say? Evolution, something about evolution. We're taking evolution in our own hands, or whatever that last line was.
Yeah. Recreating.
So, yeah, recreating evolution. So, wow.
Oh boy.
Insane. Vic, there are over 1 million frozen embryos in the world. It's a lot. So, an embryo is a fertilized egg. Okay. And some of these have been in storage for, you know, a long, long time, you know.
Wow.
10, 20 years. And this is a crisis. What do we do? You know what I'm saying? With these lives that
Yeah.
are out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Do we just leave them? You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Frozen?
Oh gosh.
Do we that's not right.
No.
And obviously we don't want to kill them. So
Well,
what do we do?
don't.
I
Yeah.
think the first thing we got to do is stop making them, you know.
Right.
Stop freezing them. So,
Yeah. That's such a crazy issue. I was telling you earlier, the first time I ever really heard about this, there was a couple at our church. This was like maybe 10, 12 years ago, maybe a little longer than that.
yeah.
There was an actual
Cliff
couple
Taylor
in
said the robotic nannies will raise the kids.
Oh yeah, no doubt. A couple gave their testimony at church. They were an infertile couple, and they looked into. They might have even tried in vitro and it didn't work, and that's expensive, and and I don't know if they were. So they decided they were going to go to the adoption route, and somewhere along the line they found out about these frozen embryos and realized that they could adopt one of them, and so I don't know the details of like if they did in vitro themselves with it or whatever, but they adopted one of these unfertilized or these fertilized frozen, and it developed into a child, and their children are now they rescued these things from the freezers, right? And so I know I don't know how many, but I know that there are organizations out there where, infertile couples can adopt instead of adopting a child, that's already born. They can adopt these
right
unused frozen specimens. But
maybe they would use a system like what we just saw, this Ecto Life. Yeah, there you go. Embryo adoption, embryo donation. So maybe they would try to justify a system like this Ecto Life that we saw, saying, hey, we're going to free these babies that have basically been in a frozen prison for years. So this is how they would justify it. And I don't even know how I feel about that. This is a very crazy situation that we're in. What should we do with those babies? That thinking about that gives me anxiety.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. I mean, it's just it's like that you see this camera angle and then all of a sudden you get the wide angle and you realize there's billions. So like you're already thinking about the children that don't make it out of the womb, and then you think about the kids who make it out of the womb and don't have homes, and then we've been a million off on our estimation of the unborn,
Yes. So wow, folks. You know what? Vicki and I have said our piece. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. Let us know your comments, your thoughts, your links, or whatever. Interested to see what you think about this. What should we do with the embryos? And what do we do when we hear that they're building facilities like this? As Christians, this could be developing a new mission field. So, Vic.
Yeah. It's overwhelming. I sort of have brain freeze right now, even just thinking about it. It's so overwhelming.
It's paralyzing to think about it. It's just kind of like
it is. I mean, we already don't know what to do with the unwanted and unborn that we're already trying to save and pray for. And when you look at like the 50-year foundation in this country of all of the organizations and all of the men and women who have dedicated their whole lives, blood, sweat, and tears, and raising money and getting donations and getting 501c3s together to fight for the unborn, and now you realize, wait, there's a population of 1 million others that most of us don't even know about.
Should the Lord tarry, we're gonna be busy, folks. We're gonna be busy, and of course, you can just assume that most of the mega churches are gonna roll out the red carpet for all this stuff. So, and they're gonna get to those pastors and say, hey, we need this. Hey, raise money for this facility. I don't even know. This was a crazy topic. I'm glad we talked about it tonight. This could have went a million different directions. So, yeah, guys, again, give us your feedback. Hey, shout out to Chris Taylor hanging out in the chat with us. If you
Sweet.
missed the show, go back, watch last night's show. You want to talk about some rabbit trails and stuff that we discussed. It was a lot, and my mind was blown. I read the comments for that show. So many people just love that show last night. Chris is gracious enough to invite me on his show. I'm going to be on his show really, really soon, so we'll let you know about that when that goes live. But Vic, it's almost over. Hang in there. Don't give up, soldier. You're almost there.
One more night.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and thank you for the prayers. We covet those prayers, and for the support. We don't talk about this very much, but you guys, there's a support tab on the Through the Black page. Folks, we are in a war, and we appreciate your support for this war. We're dedicated to fighting wickedness and evil and preaching the gospel. So we appreciate that. Don't forget throughtheblack.com. That's where you can find our Ezekiel 8 t-shirts. A lot of you guys have been supporting us there. And hey, don't forget Out of the Darkness conference coming up. It'll be here before you know it. God bless everybody. We will see you tomorrow night. All right. Bye.